When we see things for what they are, when we see things clearly in the body and mind, how this body-mind process unfolds moment by moment, moment by moment, moment by moment, we also see what is the cause for this dukkha. Before, the seeming cause for our dissatisfaction is external. It is the situation, it is the person that did something, or the person that is not the way we want them to be, the situation in life not being the way we want it to be, the temperature, the light not being the way we want it to be, whatever is the apparent reason for this dissatisfaction we feel. When we start to look closely, and what the Buddha points towards is that the true deep-rooted cause for the dukkha is craving for things to be different than they are. This is the cause of dukkha. And the cessation of dukkha. It is possible. There's a way to cease dukkha. There is the long way. There is the path of the cessation of dukkha, where we continuously training ourselves to release this stored up reactivity, this stored up clinging, this craving, this habit of the mind. We lessen this habit through training, through continuous application of ourselves in our lives. The training is to keep releasing this dukkha, to keep releasing this clinging mind that creates dissatisfaction. And we can also see this cessation of dukkha on a moment-to-moment level. The moment you have dukkha arising, the moment you have dissatisfaction arising, discontentment, some maybe large, maybe very subtle feeling of things should be different, should be like this or like that, or your mind which is going to the past and to the future, trying to alter, trying to hold on to or plan or desire. The moment you recognize and release this clinging mind, there is already a micro cessation of dukkha. There is already a tiny bit of relief from dukkha, because the mind becomes more open. The mind releases its tension, its clinging, when it's recognized, when we return to being openly with what is appearing. So this, in a way, is the little hints, the micro hits of Nibbana along the way. So we need not to practice and train for years and years until we get any sort of benefit. The fruit and benefit of the practice should be immediate if we are practicing in the right way. The immediate release of clinging, which leads to the immediate release of dukkha. Then we have the path. This is the way leading out of dukkha. So this he doesn't really expand on in the Satipatthana, but in subsequent suttas he expands more on this idea of what is the path, magga, leading to the cessation of dukkha. There's 8 parts of this path, but they all work together. They are often depicted as a wheel because they are turning and all helping each other. So it's not like step by step, although there is this sequence, but they all reinforce each other and develop more and more momentum in removing dukkha from our lives. There's different aspects of this eightfold path. There's the moral aspect and how we position ourselves, how we think. There's the action aspect, how we speak, how we act, and how we are within this world, how we make our living. And then there's the aspect concerned with practicing meditation. So first we have the 2 concerning how we think, how we position ourselves mentally. There's the right view. So right view means to understand what it means to have. In all of the Eightfold Path there is the term right, samma. Samma or right means with less and less ignorance, with less and less clinging and craving, and less unwholesome, more and more wholesome. This is the essence of what is right. So we can have many different views, but some of those views might be filled, clouded with desire, with ignorance, with greed, with hatred. And this hatred, this greed leads to unwholesome behavior. Or maybe other views lead to more wholesome behavior. So right means wholesome and free of greed, anger, hatred, delusion. There is right view. There is the right view is the conceptual understanding, the conceptual framing that we use for our practice. So it's the intellectual idea behind our practice, our intellectual mind map that we're using. So to understand correctly, what is the way this mind works in theory? So there's teachers, there's the Buddha's suttas, which tell us what is the right view. We are here to observe the nature of our experience. We're not here to shift or change or achieve anything. We are here to observe the natural occurring body-mind process, the phenomena. Then there's the right intention. The right intention is what is our intention? So in every moment we have an intention. Sometimes that intention is conscious, sometimes unconscious. But what is the volition of the mind? What is the attitude with which we are existing or doing at the moment? So right intention is to have wholesome intention, is to have intention of practicing, of training the mind, is intention which is less and less coming from greed, from hatred, from anger, and more from compassion, from metta, from wisdom. This is the right intention. The intention to be mindful is a wholesome intention. The intention to be more aware, the intention to let go of clinging, craving, is a right intention. Then there is right speech. So this is concerned with how we interact with the world verbally. We have the thought, the view, the intention, and how it manifests in the reality is through our speech. There is the precept of right speech: don't lie, don't use speech to harm, don't slander, don't talk badly about people who are not here. This is right speech, speech with less and less greed, with less and less delusion. Then there is right action. Action is any action that we do on a physical level, or in life, anything we manifest into the external world. There's also the precept to help us: don't steal, don't kill, don't use intoxicants, and these are actions that help clarify our perception, that help us free the mind from feelings such as greed, such as hatred, such as guilt because we did wrong things. This is really the base to which to meditate, to practice meditation from. This is also called sila. Right speech, right action is sila, morality. Then we have right livelihood. So livelihood, Buddha recognized the importance of livelihood, especially for lay people. The way we contribute, what do we make our livelihood with? How are we part of the society? Whether it's highly paid or not so highly paid, whatever is your way of contributing to the societal system, there is the right way, more right way to do it, a way which is less and less with greed, with hatred, with self-centeredness, and more a way of service, a way of creating more wholesome and less unwholesome in the world, creating less delusion in this world and creating more wisdom in this world, creating harm to the environment, to people, exploiting or helping, supporting. This is right livelihood. So the Buddha recognized this is important. Then we move to the practice aspects. There is right effort. There is the continuous application of right effort. Right effort means to keep releasing clinging, to drop, in other words, to drop unwholesome states that arise, greed, hatred, delusion, and to keep increasing wholesome states, wholesome intentions, wholesome acts, to have the intention to be mindful, to have the effort to create more compassion, more metta, more wisdom in our hearts and also in our actions, the right effort. Then we have the right samadhi, the right collectedness, the right concentration. The mind gets collected, gets concentrated with many different things. We are focusing on doing some work. The mind gets collected around this. You are writing something. The mind gets concentrated, collected on this activity. There is collectedness when you are doing something unwholesome. There can be something there can be samadhi as well in the mind when you are when you're planning to kill someone. You have to use concentration to make that plan, to think, but this is not the right kind of concentration. This is not the right kind of samadhi. It is not the samadhi which is free from greed, hatred, delusion. So the right concentration is the one which uses the body-mind as it is, or uses a wholesome feeling to create the concentration. That's why we use the breath in the body to create collectedness, to create samadhi. The body is more and more free of delusion, of conceptualization, of fabrication on top of what's happening. So we also have to be careful with using imagined objects as our concentration. Then we have the right mindfulness. The right mindfulness is something we've been cultivating a lot within this retreat, within this course. The right way to be aware of your experience, with less and less delusion, with less and less craving, with less and less aversion. And so all of these parts of the Eightfold Path support each other. The mindfulness creates wisdom, which creates right view, which creates better intentions in the mind, which creates better actions, creates better speech, creates a better way of living, creates a better way of and a more supportive base to practice right effort, to practice concentration, collectedness, to practice mindfulness, etc. So this wheel spins and spins. And this is the path of liberation. This is the path of cultivating more momentum towards less and less dukkha in our lives. So you can help yourself in many different ways. Not just with meditation practice, but also how to live the life. To be more happy, to be free and more free of suffering. In the last part of the sutta, the Buddha makes a prediction. The Buddha gives relevance to this practice of the 4 Satipatthanas. He talks about how much time it takes to attain final knowledge. And he starts with 7 years and then goes down all the way to just 7 days. So he says, if you really apply yourself, you can really make a lot of progress in just 7 days. Depends how diligent, how much of the right mindfulness, the right concentration, the right effort you use. We can really apply yourself. And some of you really applied yourself for these 7 weeks. And you got a lot of the fruits, you got a lot of the benefits from the practice. And he talks about, he also mentions these two states, and the final knowledge here and now, and the state of non-returning. So just to give some background understanding, within the Theravada Buddhism, there are so-called 4 stages of awakening. There's the final stage of arahantship. This is when you've fully realized you are on the level of a Buddha. You may not necessarily be a Buddha, because a Buddha is also someone that teaches and attain the path without a teacher. But you can be an arahant, a fully awakened arahant. There's no more dukkha at this level. There is the non-returning, anagami. This is the third stage of awakening. This is like you've gone very deeply, you've gone very far. Non-returning refers to the fact that there is no more rebirth. At the latest, you will attain full awakening at the time of your birth. And there's the second, the stage of the sakatagami. This is the stage where at most you will be reborn once, and you've already removed a lot of the clinging, a lot of the aversion. And the first stage of awakening, which is the stage of sotapan, which is the first glimpse of nibbana, the first glimpse where you understand the way of practicing, where you've removed a big chunk of the sankhara, of the delusion. And I think of this first stage a little bit like you are over the hump, and now there's enough momentum in your life with the practice that you can't really go back anymore to how you were. You cannot go back. It's too difficult to go back. You've seen too much. You understand that the craving and all the delusions and all the distractions, they don't lead to ultimate happiness. What leads to happiness is the practice and the working with your body-mind. This is where you can make the change. So I personally don't try to give too much importance to these 4 stages, or try to measure myself. Where am I at now? What is it? This is just conceit, more delusion arising, where the self wants to cling onto a certain stage of awakening that he or she has achieved. But this is a dangerous trap. The most important is to keep applying effort, to keep working every day. Every day a different type of consciousness will be here. Every day a different type of paying attention. Every day a different way to work with yourself. The work never ends until you die. We're constantly learning. We're here because we can grow our mind. There's neuroplasticity. Whatever we do on the mental level is our habits, is what habits we have, and that will be the causes for the mind that arises tomorrow and the day after and the day after. So this is what we have to work with. Practice mindfulness, practice to be aware in your life and cultivate wholesome qualities, wholesome actions towards those close to you. Cultivate an attitude of service, livelihood, the way you contribute to the world, whether it's official job, whether it's something else, whether it's something related to Dhamma, or whether you're just serving people, or whether it's just serving your family. This is your livelihood. And this leads more and more to more happiness, more contentment, more simplicity in life. And things take care of themselves. You don't need to control everything. You cannot control everything. Even bad things happen. Even unwanted things happen. They are there for a reason. They will sort themselves out. If you are practicing, if you are approaching the practice honestly, if you keep questioning, if you keep looking through and admitting that you have many delusions which are still there. For me also, there's so much stuff still there. There's so much conceit, so much delusion, hatred, greed, strong words, but it is there in subtle ways still. So let's be careful and let's continue to practice. The daily practice is very important, It's the constant reminder, it's the constant cultivation of right mindfulness, of right concentration, of right effort. Without these, you start to spiral away again, spiral into dukkha, spiral into applying effort in the wrong way, applying effort to constantly do things on the outside or get more and more or change more and more. And this doesn't lead to the happiness, this doesn't lead to nibbana. And I want to finish with a quote from the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. When you realize you have enough, you are rich. The whole world belongs to you. Simplicity returns you to the source. Simplicity returns you to the source.